All right, everybody say hi to Lexi.
Hi, Lexi.
Hi, everybody.
All right, before you get a chance to go, Lexi, I just want to introduce you to my division, and this is our branch manager and district manager prep event, and I want to thank you for giving your time today. We've been printing out lots of reports and looking at what you've done, and over the past couple meetings we've had, and everybody's really impressed, and congratulations on your silver cup this summer, of course. That's freaking huge. So we're very thankful to have you here, and I know you're going to give us some goods today, but just a little bit of background so you guys know Lexi. She started in July in the summertime in 2012. She hit FSM in 5 weeks on the old pay program, obviously. So she hit her FSM at 30K there in 5 weeks, which is impressive. She holds the region record for the most sales in the month of January. She won an All-American Scholarship in spring 2013. I know we got some scholarship winners in the room, which is pretty sweet. And she branched in, you did Finlay twice, right? Finlay, how do you say it?
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay.
Yep.
She branched twice there in Ohio in 2013. Right out of the gate, she was #1 branch manager in her region and #4 in the nation that first summer, so like first time running the office. And then 2014 obviously finished #1 in both categories. On the company, she's been to Cozumel, Cabo, St. Martin, Grand Cayman Islands, Panama, Chicago, Vegas, and about to go to Playa and Rome, all on Vector, which is pretty sweet. She's the DOM, the Pilot Sales Manager, which in different regions they call it the PSM. It's basically the DOM and release position in Columbus, Ohio with Jake Miser, and she's preparing to go out and run another office. So thank you for being here, and Lexi, I'll let you take it away and talking about preparation and kind of what you did, and afterwards we'll open up to a little Q&A.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much. So I know that right now, I know a lot of you guys are newer, and so I'll kind of talk about what I did, I guess, before my first branch, and then kind of what I wish I would have done, and then before my second one, I guess is kind of what I did what I wish I would have done. So I'll go through both. So the first thing is, I'll say I at first didn't actually think that I was going to branch. I didn't think I was ready to. I started when I first graduated high school, so it was my summer before going to college. And so when they talked about branching, I was like, I'm 18. I might assist. I'll see. I like selling a lot. So, but as it went on, I pretty much decided to branch then in probably that following November. And then I started being like, okay, well, if I'm going to branch, I want a good territory, and I want to be able to do it right and things like that. So I started going in the office a lot. I was working a lot. I guess not a lot, actually, but just kind of getting around in the office. But my big thing was I sold a lot. Jake, my district manager and division manager, told me, he's like, you just need to sell and save a lot of money. And he kind of walked through why with me, and it made sense. So I knew I needed to save a lot if I wanted to recruit a lot. It's what I've been talking to a lot of my upcoming branches about. A lot of them have the right mind frame. They're like, I want to recruit, 150 people. I want to recruit 200 people, whatever, which is obviously a good number to go after and a good idea, but it takes money to do that. So I just sold as much as I could, and my goal was to go out my first branch with $10,000 saved. So with me deciding a little bit later, I never withheld anything. I didn't really save much. I paid for college, everything. So I really didn't have much money when in that first campaign. So coming up then in that following January is when we've sold. We have a push for a contest to win to a vacation. So I started off with just wanting to sell as much as I could and save. I was withholding, the highest I could do then was 40%. So I was withholding 40% of my income, or of my paycheck. And I ended up selling about $32,000 that spring campaign. So $22,000 of that was during JPro, and then the rest throughout the campaign. So I ended up saving, I'm pretty sure I had just around $11,000 saved going into my first branch, which is obviously a lot. I didn't use all of that, but it was nice to know that I had it at least then. So I never ran into receptionist trouble. I could recruit as much as I wanted. I could buy as much advertising as I wanted, and that's really where it took off with recruiting for me. So one big thing was selling and then saving a lot too. That's pretty much what I focused on. I was not the best manager or assistant manager. I tried coming in. I told Jake I wanted to do stuff in the office. I was running interviews. I didn't have the best stats, so he had me running like I think it was like a Friday at 11 o'clock interview, and I was like, no one's showing. But I mean, I at least got to run 1-person interviews, some 2, 3-person interviews. But just kind of getting as much as I could interview-wise in. And then I also wanted to do, I came up and I'm like, what else can I do? And so he had me do some PCs with representatives. I remember doing a lot of like watching receptionists, just little things. I started getting very aggressive. I'm like, I want to learn I want to start doing reception stuff. I want to do this. And I started getting really, really frustrated because my stats weren't where a lot of other people who were receptionists or were like had been in the company for a couple of years running interviews, stuff like that. So he basically told me after a while, he was like, just sell, just keep selling, save a lot, you'll do fine. If you have $10,000 in savings, you'll run a successful branch. So I pretty much sold the most, but I really recommend doing things like PCs, running interviews, watching receptionists, learning how to do base pay. I would just sit in the office. I had no idea what was going on. I would just try to get to the office as often as I could, and I would just sit there and watch whatever I possibly could. So whatever you can do to be in the office and learn anything and everything, I would highly, highly, highly recommend that. And then, so just a little bit about savings then. So I know if you guys are newer, you might be in the same position I was in before my first branch at this point, where I really didn't have that much in savings. Same with some of my people right now, we're trying to make plans on how they can get a lot in savings. So it's actually a lot easier than people tend to think. I don't know why some people are like, I might be able to get $3K, I have this, that, and whatever to pay for. That's good. I mean, starting a branch with, $3,000-$4,000 is good, but it helps to have a lot because, again, you have to put money into receptionists, things like that. So if you want to recruit a lot, I mean, you have to have money from the get-go to start. Yes, the company gives us money. It's nice to have that, our own money and withholdings for a nice security blanket, though, too. So just some little numbers that I kind of was playing around with someone earlier in a PC with a TLA member. We were talking about if they sold $1,250 a week. So just selling over $1,000 a week, which for a lot of you guys, for a lot of people who obviously are good at the job, it should take on average 4 to 6 demos a week. You can do that on one Sunday. You can do one a day, Monday through Thursday. You can do 2 Monday, 2 Tuesday, whatever, right? That's not much. 4 to 6 demos a week should on average get about $1,250 a week. And if you do that for the 16 weeks of a semester, you'll sell $20,000. If you withhold 30% of that, I know we can withhold 50% now. If you can withhold 30% of that, you'll add $6,000 to your withholdings by summertime. So that's an additional $6,000 for selling $1,250 a week, which you should probably be doing anyway. So that's one way to do it. Also, another way, if you withhold all of it, 50%, and you sell 10K this spring, that's $5,000 added. Right? So, I mean, those are pretty easy numbers to hit. Just selling $1,000, even hitting the newsletter every week will get you about 10K. And if you withhold 50% of that, again, that's 5K added. So it's not hard. There's people, I know, I just had a conversation with someone. They were like, how can I get 10K by spring? I'm like, what does that even mean? It's January. You have, 4 months to do it? So it's just being consistent with selling, which you should be anyway. One thing that I like to tell people, too, is what you are right now is what your reps this summer will follow, right? So I tell people in the push we're in right now, I'm like, do you want to give up this weekend? Because if you give up this weekend and you only work for the first part of the push, think about that if that was your sales reps for the summertime for SC2. They only work for the first half, they give up because that's what you're doing now. It's habits that you're getting. So if you want to be consistent, it's going to be easy to you. It's going to be in your head, and you'll naturally be able to sell that, I guess, on your representatives this summer. I always sold very consistently. I was very adamant this summer about having my people. I'm like, it's easy. Just make sure you're always on Rollo each week. So if you can do it, then your sales reps this summer will do that. So kind of keep that as something in your mind. Are you the rep that you want your reps to be this summer? All right. So that's kind of the big thing with saving there. And then also before my first summer, like I said, just being in the office. I didn't really know what I was doing. I wish I would have taken more notes while I was in the office because I remember watching base pay a lot. I remember watching them pay receptionists. But when I ran my own office, I called Jake right away. I'm like, so how do we do this again? Where do we go to? And what's the paper that we do for receptionists? So just taking a lot of notes. I would recommend getting a binder and kind of putting like little sections in each part. So one part be receptionist, and anything you learn on receptionist, put in that part of the binder. Maybe like new rep, maybe training, development, things like that. So make different parts of a binder, and then when you're in the office, you can feel it then too. Let's say you have a lot on like receptionist, but your PC section is really small. You can go up to your manager and be like, hey, I need to learn a little bit more on PCs. I don't feel fully ready on this. So that's one thing that I did that really, really helped. Just so I kind of knew every aspect of the business. I also went up to Jake and was like, do I have everything in this binder that I would need? And then obviously I didn't. And then he helped me add different parts too. All right, so doing that, and then also I would say taking it serious from here on out. I remember I went up to Chris Heigl, who was my division manager at the time that I became a branch. And I went up to him and he was talking about like, do I want to stay close to home? Because Findlay is not a super big territory. It actually, before I took over, it was kind of where they put people, it was, I would say, it wasn't like the highest territory. It wasn't something that everyone was like, oh, I really want Findlay. It was kind of more like, oh, I got Findlay. It was kind of that territory beforehand. But it was my home. I live about half an hour away from Findlay, and my parents both work there, so I was like, I want to take Findlay. I just thought I'd be close to home. I could still live at home, things like that. And my division manager was like, are you sure? Are you going to be able to still work with your friends there, with your family, blah, blah, no distractions? And I can't say, I didn't really take offense to it, but I was kind of like taken back. I was like, why would I branch and put that much time and energy into something so big and such a great opportunity and not put everything I have into it? It kind of baffled me that he even had to ask me that. So in my mind, I guess not even just in my mind, branching is a big thing. It's a huge resume builder. Like, some of you guys might not be in college yet, or maybe, well, I guess you probably are in college so far, but I'll tell you, just from my branching experience, I've been offered like a lot of different jobs. I got an internship that they interviewed over 70 people for, and they had to call me, and they were like, they said, they're like, we think that you're probably a little too overqualified for this. Because of the fact that, and they just listed everything that was my branching experience. So, I mean, it's huge. If you don't understand how big this is for a resume, or for, it might sound cliche or something, but for the rest of your life, it's going to make a huge difference. It's such a great opportunity. It's such an amazing summer experience in itself. I talked to Caitlin Hinswood, who was also, I think she was the number 4 branch. We just had a call a couple days ago, and we just ended up talking about our branch summer. Like, God, so much fun. Remember like this, and I can't wait to run my office again. So don't take it lightly. Going out with it, putting a lot of time and energy into learning now, being like, I used to tell my roommates always used to be like, don't go home again this weekend, because I live 2.5 hours away from college. So I go home every weekend to sell. I would usually stay at college on Friday, go home Saturday, Sunday, and sell. And they always were like, why are you doing this? Why are you going home? Like, you're leaving all the time. And I'm like, yeah, I want a good territory. I want to have a lot of money saved. I need to do this to be successful this summer. And yeah, I gave up a day a week of partying with my roommates and with my friends, but it was well worth it when I had the income, the experience, everything else from branching. So don't take it lightly. Put a lot of effort into it. Trust me, it will pay off in the end. Right? So make sure to take full advantage of it, not granted. Do not take this opportunity for granted. Take it for full advantage. Right, so basically what you should be doing right now, or my advice if I was after my first branch summer would be sell every week. If you can't go home every week, do virtuals, do something. Just get on Rollo, sell every week, be consistent, save up. Also, be in the office a lot. So even if you don't have anything planned, if you're just sitting there watching the office work, it gives you a really good mindset for how the office should feel, the environment, the culture, what you should be doing on a day-to-day basis, just little things like that. So I would recommend getting into the office, if not every day, 4 or 5 days a week at least, right, if you can. Right, and then what I wish I would have done then, I remember finishing my first branch summer, and I was just like, I need to do that again. Like, I need to. I didn't know much going in there. If people look at my stats, I don't know, people think that like I did all this crazy good stuff. My receptionist program was terrible. My interview was pretty good. I had a pretty good show to training. But my receptionists were so bad. I can't say I knew much about training. I ran one training seminar beforehand, and not even all of it. Jake came in for the important parts. So I ran like the easy parts of one training. I ran a couple interviews beforehand. I didn't really know culture. I had no idea what to do with like, even like little things like base pay, admin stuff. I was just like a chicken with my head cut off my first month. So by the end of my first branch summer, I was like, shoot, I need to do this again because I actually get it now. So what I did that second, I guess, preparing, so that fall and spring. So this is things that I wish I would have done that I would recommend you guys do right now too. It's kind of taking things to a higher level. So for the first thing, I did a lot in the office. I went up to Jake and I was like, okay, I need to run interviews. I need to run a couple of trainings at least. I want to do PCs. I want to get good at working with different kinds of people. I want to get good at everything. And I listed it all out. And the big thing that the reason why I wanted to do everything in the office, the reason why I recommend you guys do a lot in the office is because then you get to find your weaknesses. So for me, receptionist, big weakness, big weakness. Same with like days 4 through 10 of training. Wasn't super good at like pushing them past their first weekend. Just little things like that I knew I wasn't good at. And I came up to Jake and I was like, I want to do these things. Or I at least need to watch, or I need your help on learning how to do it. So I wish I would have done that before my first branch. I would have been probably a lot better. So if you guys can find your weaknesses right now before you run your first branch, and you can tell your manager by, let's say by March, you're like, hey, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at this. How do I get better? Can you teach me? And they can set you up with people to have calls with, even in the region, other people in the region, outside your region, whatever. Division managers especially know other people, so they can help you. And it just makes things much more efficient and a lot better when you can go out and things just run smoothly because you understand things in your branch. It's just a lot easier and a lot better. So try to find your weaknesses at least by March, whatever you can, so that way you can learn and you can perfect them by April. All right, that's one big thing. Also, I field visited a lot of offices. So I found offices and managers, I'm like, I like the way that they do this. I think that that's a lot like my personality. I want to go watch what they do. So I field visited a few different offices. One office was really good at training. I went and watched that office for Thursday, Friday, Saturday. One office was amazing at recruiting. I wanted to watch their receptionist program. I asked them when they were running receptionist training. I went there, watched them do some receptionist trainings, interviews, working with receptionists throughout the days, a Sunday working with receptionists, things like that. Whatever it is, I mean, just field visiting different offices for what they're really good at. And I took a lot of notes. I visited the best of the best at different categories, and then I got to implement those into my branch. So I felt like I had the goods from every section, even though they're from different managers. So field visiting was a really big thing. Also, I had a lot of calls. So some managers are really far away. So I just had calls with them. Even on the other side of our region is like 7-8 hour drive. So I just called them. I'm like, can I have a call? I prepared a bunch of questions, and I'm like, I just rapid fire ask questions away. So anything I could do, even calling managers, trying to get what they do well as well. So visiting, calling managers. Also, I learned reports. So I had no idea what reports meant. I remember looking at Vector Live, and they were like, yeah, look at reports. Like, what's your launch? What's your blah, blah? And I was like, what is that? How do I get there? What do I do for that? I didn't know how to see if my receptionists were good or not. Just little things like that maybe you guys don't know, maybe you do, but I had no idea what to do with that. So that was a big thing. My manager, he was like, okay, let's sit down and let's learn reports, Lexi. I was like, that might help me a little bit. So if you can even sit down, if you have a PC with your manager, be like, can I take 20 minutes out of your time for you to teach me what the heck Vector Live reports mean? Because when you can actually look at them and see what you're succeeding in and struggling in, it allows you to fix those mistakes earlier. And there were some branches who they were like, I don't know why this isn't working. Why isn't this doing well? Why isn't it blah, blah? And then by the end of summer, they looked at the reports and they understood it, which they could have just fixed in May. So since I actually knew what reports meant, this past summer, I was able to, like the first week, I'm like, okay, this was good, this was not good, this, I need to improve this by the second week. Then the second week I could say, okay, this, I'm like, perfect. And I was able to perfect it a lot earlier on than my first summer just because I understood what it meant. So again, just having one-on-one PCs. I know it might seem like you're annoying your manager. Trust me, they probably like it. My people are always like, hey, I need a call. I need to talk to you. Can we have a one-on-one PC, whatever. I want to get better at the job. I love that. I love helping them get better. So I'm sure your managers feel the same way. So sitting down with them, learning, getting better, it's going to help you in the long run. It'll help them too. So annoy them if you can. Right? So I guess like some tips then. some main tips that I have for preparing. I know some of these are repetitive, but one big one is, again, take it serious. It is like such an amazing opportunity. It's such an amazing experience. Do not take it lightly. Make the best of it. If you have an awesome branch summer, so let's say you save a lot right now, you work a lot right now, you sell a lot right now, and so that way in the summer you build up your team like crazy in May, and then sales just start rolling like crazy in June. You hit your goal by the first week of July. You have 2 months to go. You have a good SE2, and it just goes good. It's easy at that aspect. So it's easy to do that, right? Whereas, let's say you don't prepare, then you go out, you don't know what to do. It gets challenging, and that's where maybe it's not as fun. So take advantage of it. It's a fun opportunity if you do it right. All right, field train out other offices that you want to replicate. Sorry, does it keep going in and out for you guys?
Yeah, a little bit. You're okay though. We got you now.
Okay, cool. All right, field train offices that you want to replicate. Make sure that you are, again, kind of keep it to, I guess not mandatory, but I like to do offices that have the same personality that I have. So that way it's, I guess you can replicate it easier if they have the same type of personality. So maybe ask your manager, do you think this is someone good that I could go field train? Right? Like I said earlier, find your weaknesses now and fix them. If you can find out what you're doing wrong and fix it before your branch summer instead of halfway through your branch summer, it's a lot easier, all right? So try to find your weaknesses now and fix them. Also your strong points, so that way you can pursue them and make them even better. And if you're good at recruiting, you can put more energy, time, effort into recruiting. If you know that you're really good at training, you know that you can expect a good PPR, just little things like that. And then sell and save is a big thing. If you want to teach people how to sell, you need to be good at selling. That's it. You don't necessarily have to have a huge average order. You don't have to have a huge push week. If you can sell consistently every week and you can teach people how to do that, that's going to pay off for you. So if you want to have good reps who can sell consistently and be consistent and be good sales reps, you need to do the same thing. Right? And then obviously saving is huge. Save as much as you possibly can. Again, you have 4 months to do it. 4 months. That's a lot of time. So don't be scared about big numbers. All you have to do, if you sell $20K, if you sell a little over $1,000 a week for the next 16 weeks, you'll add $6,000 into your withholdings if you're only saving 30%. So it's not hard to do. And then another big thing, at least maybe this is me because it's my weakness, but my other tip is master the receptionist program. If you can get good at receptionist, it'll save you a lot of money. It makes the front end a lot better, a lot easier, and then your part becomes a lot easier as well. If you have a lot of people coming in for interviews, anything else, recruiting is a big part. If you have a big team, you're going to have bigger sales reports. That's that. All right, so that's most of what I have. And then if you guys have any questions, I have plenty of time for Q&A if you guys have anything for me.
Okay, Lexi, thanks so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, I know we got a lot of questions. I got a ton of questions to ask you, but we'll kind of go around the room and I'll kind of relay the question, and then you can just fly with it as you go. So John Baker had a question.
What did you do to improve your receptionist from your first summer going into your second summer? Because I had issues with receptionists.
Was that what did I do to improve my receptionist?
Yes, from your first branch to your second.
Okay, yeah. It actually improved probably a lot. It still wasn't super good, but I field visited a lot of offices who I saw were doing really well with receptionists. So, like I said, I watched 3 different receptionist trainings in 3 different offices. I had calls with people about it. I sat in and listened to a receptionist, and I looked at in my office then a receptionist who was getting good stats. I would go in and I would just listen to her. I would just sit next to her and I would just listen. And then I would also look at receptionists that maybe weren't getting super good stats and I would listen to them. And then in my mind, I could start hearing what a not really good receptionist and what a good receptionist sounded like. Just from sitting in the office and listening to who was good and who wasn't. Also, if there were receptionists in the region who were around for 2-3 years and were getting really good stats, I would also have calls with them and just ask them what they did to get the good stats and the stats that they did. And then also mostly receptionist managers from different offices that were doing well too. So basically the people that were doing well, I just had calls with them or I went and watched them. And then also just listening to receptionists a lot in my office. I also made receptionist calls too myself. So if, I would sit in the office and I told Jake I want to be a receptionist to get better, and I watched my own stats improve. So once I knew my stats were getting better, I was able to see what I was doing and then implemented that into my own receptionist.
Very good. Good. Cool. Okay. You want to relay it to me?
Sure, I can say it.
I know. I just might have. Go ahead.
Lexi, what was your PR program last summer? How many receptionists did you have? How many average names did you collect a week? And what were all the different avenues you did to get PRs?
Did you hear that? It was about PR. So it was what? Okay. So what did you do last summer? What was your PR program? What did it look like? How many PRAs did you have? How did you get your PRs?
What was your name collection average?
And what was your name collection average? Your name collection average.
All right, my name collection average was 100 per person. So actually, I think it was like 104 per person, exactly. And my PR program was actually good, even though my receptionists weren't super awesome. I love PRs. I love PRs because, you can control it. I hate not being in control. Like, I hated putting signs out and being like, I hope people see the sign and call in. Or like mailers being like, I hope we get a good mailer touch this summer. I hate it. So from the get-go, I just did straight up PRs. I went in the system and found PRs for my territory the summer before, which were also my PRs. So I hired receptionists. How I receptionists was I posted on Facebook because I was from the area. So I posted on Facebook, hey, I just posted, hey, if anybody from my territory or, if anybody in the Findlay area wants a job, I'm paying $9 an hour, you can go on in, so on and so forth. And then I also posted on Craigslist. I got a surprisingly awesome amount of really good people from Craigslist. So that was good. I also, for those of you going to different territories than where you're from, if you can post on Facebook or start asking around now, if anybody knows anybody else who is from that territory, and ask them to post on Facebook if anybody's looking for a job. So that's how I got the receptionist. I had, I'm trying to think. I know I had at least 6 receptionists every week. I think my big time, like when I had the most, I think I had 8. I don't think I ever had over 9 in on a Sunday. But yeah, I usually had at least 6. And when it started getting a little bit lower, like in July and August, recruiting slowed down, I had 4. And yeah, I just had them. We always had enough names because I averaged 104 per person, which allowed me to have, my receptions weren't super good, so I had about, I don't know, I'm trying to think. I think I had at least like 15 to 20 people in for most of my training seminars in the May and June. So I had a good amount of names at all times, which is important. If you run out of names, though, something we've been doing here in Columbus a lot throughout the fall is hire receptionists and then get PR names from them. I always gave them contests like I'll give you either $20 cash right now or $100 in Cutco if you give me 100 names or something like that. And it's kind of mandatory in training. They all just give me names because they're from the area anyway. So that was a big thing on how I got it. Was there another part to that or did I hit everything?
John?
There's something else.
How many hours would a receptionist work? Would it like a 4-hour shift?
I had 2 receptionists in 9 to 2. I had 1 in 10 to 4, and then I would have 2 in from 2 to 6.
Were your receptionists calling mailers and PRs, or did you have specifically PRAs?
So my territory is like I said, not very big. So we barely had any IAPs at all. Like my receptionist would be like, "Hey, look, there's an IAP." Like maybe like 2 a week. So my whole program was PRs basically,
okay,
minus mailers. So I just had them doing both.
Excellent.
It is smart though to have, if you have a lot of IAPs and stuff, to have 2 separate ones. It wasn't really worth it for me because I didn't have enough IAPs.
Okay.
Did for your phones, did you just have a bunch of burner phones that they would use in the office, or did you have it on your landline? So
The question is, what was your phone system look like? Were they calling off cell phones? Did you get lots of landlines? Have voice over IP?
Yeah, I had 6 phone lines, I believe. Yeah, I had 6 phone lines, and on Sundays that I had more than 6 receptionists in, I just paid them. I would pay like $8.50 an hour, and I told them anyone using their own cell phone, I'll pay $9 an hour for those, so an extra 50 cents an hour, just for using their own cell phone. There are, what are they called, tracking phones or something like that you can get, and you pay by the minute, which I meant to do that, but it just never really happened. My receptionist used their cell phones, and I was like, whatever, that's easier, save me money. So, yeah, I had 6 phone lines, and then, yeah, they were like rollovers, obviously. So I had my top receptionist at the main phone, and then on from there.
Should be good. I have more.
Go ahead, Amberly.
Was there anything that just absolutely blindsided you that you were like, oh, I had no idea that this was even going to be a thing? Like,
Anything that blindsided you this summer that you weren't prepared for, that you should have prepared more for?
Yes, basically my first May was pretty like, holy crap. I'm trying to think what were some main things. I guess obviously my second summer, no, because I had already done it. My first summer, not really. I prepared really well with Jake. I guess Jake prepared me really well. We went through and we had a cap session in beginning of April, and we went through, and he literally like played out for me, because I'm really good. I'm not really good at like numbers necessarily. I'm more of a tell me what to do and I'll do it person. So I'm like, then he'd be like, okay, if we recruit at like 30%, then you have this and blah, blah, and went on, and I just sat there. I'm like, I don't know what you just said. Tell me how many I'm supposed to recruit every single day and how much I should sell each week. So we literally made a calendar of like every day. So how many should I recruit Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, how many receptionists I needed now, how many names I need to get this Saturday in training. Like we played out, he did. He made the list of like everything for me. And it was all off like numbers. He's like, can you put how many mailers are you getting? Okay, you should get this many touches. If those many come in this week on this drop, then you should have this many people in training. You get this many names. You can have this many peer receptionists in. Then you got recruit this many this week. Your sales, you should have this PPR for your first weekend. You should sell this much on your first week. And like we just laid out literally everything. So I guess I can't say I knew how to do everything necessarily, but I knew I could recruit. I need this many receptionists. I need this. And I just followed day by day what my plan was supposed to be. So I can't say I was necessarily blindsided because I had prepared a lot beforehand with Jake, but I mean, it was hectic. It was a lot of like, I don't know how to do this. I remember one time I was like, Jake, I'm not getting enough touches. What do I do? And all he said, he's like, just think about it, Lexi, go figure something out. I was like, it's not very helpful. So I was like, well, I guess I have posters and I have posters and I have this. I can go put posters somewhere. So I started putting posters and business cards in like gas stations. I'd be like, hey, do you care if I hang this up right here? Like, I just had to think outside the box on some things, but if you prepare enough, and I'm sure you will be with your managers helping you and everything, but nothing should really necessarily blindside.
Cool. Jeff, go ahead.
Yeah, what was your biggest challenge you faced getting leased just for the summer, and how did you overcome that?
Good. So he was saying, what was your challenge finding a summer lease? And how did you take care of that?
Yeah, some people are really challenging about it. Overall, though, what we say is that I always just said, I'm like, yeah, so what we're Vector Marketing. I explained we're a multi-million-dollar corporation, blah, blah. So we're really just testing out this area right now. So I would like to make sure, as long as the area works out well and everything, so we want to do it just for 4 months. And then if things turn out well here, then someone could come year-round afterwards. So, like, for me, I'm like, last summer I was here for the summertime. We tested out the area. I did, like, whatever my sales report was, whatever you can do for your territory. And I'm like, and so we just want to make sure that this location is good, blah, blah. We want to do a 4-month lease.
Cool.
And then they usually do. Or I go up to people. My office was, so this is too, you don't have to get, like, a really good, perfect office. My office was in a big building on a good road, but it was an upstairs location, so, like, you had to walk around the back side of the building. It's kind of sketchy. And go up, like, this scary, like, stairway. And then up there was my office, which the office itself was nice, but, like, getting there first off was kind of weird. So, I mean, my landlord, I was like, hey, I know that I'm just using it. I know this is the upstairs. It's kind of weird to get to the office, so I'd be willing, if you're willing to do a 4-month lease, I'd be willing to take this office for you. So also kind of making it, like, I know this isn't like a super awesome office, whatever, but I'd be willing to take this if you're willing to give me a 4-month lease. It really wasn't that hard necessarily. Some people were like, I only do a year lease, and we're just like, okay, then we'll go somewhere else. So.
Cool. Okay, I have some questions for you, and if you guys want to write some of the question and kind of her response, that's great. Just a couple of things. What was your SC1 this summer?
This past summer we had an 88K SC1.
88,000. What was your SC2?
99,716.
Nice.
So close.
Well, who's counting, right? Okay. So second SC2 was bigger than SC1, which is technically how it's supposed to be. But our calendar is different than her calendar out in Ohio, so I'll talk to you guys about that later on. But that's fantastic. Besides the receptionist program, if you were a candidate in South Coast, we know we gotta knock it out of the park with front-end efficiency, but what are 2 things that you would focus on if it's your first branch to say, these areas are going to really get me some good results? Like if I just studied this and this and I put a lot of my eggs in those basket, what could I focus on right now?
Besides receptionists?
Yeah. So besides receptionists, so I'll say, I know you already talked about that one being super important. So in addition to that.
Yeah. Training is a big thing. You want to get good at training. Obviously, if you can train them well and then kick them off the right way, it makes things a lot easier. And then you can include, I have this many people in training, I know that they're going to sell this much, so on and so forth. So I think training, really getting that big pop from the training group. Also, the interview is a big thing too. My branch was pretty much saved because I had a 56% show to training. So my receptions weren't super good, but I didn't necessarily need a huge set number for training because I knew I was going to get most of them back in. So I would say getting good at the interview to get them to training, and then getting good at training to get them good at selling afterwards are probably 2 of the bigger areas. I also think that really getting good at PDI and pushing them in the right way is a big thing too.
Cool. Okay, excellent. What are some things that you did in your office this summer that helped you create culture, that helped you tie people in and get people excited about selling in Findlay?
Yeah. So our culture was, I guess, the culture that I wanted basically was, I told myself, so my first branch summer, all that I cared about was CPO. It was sales results. I looked at the sales reports every single week. All I cared about. If someone was like, I sold 250 this week, I was like, cool. Next time sell 1,000. I need more CPO. That's all I cared about. So this past summer, I was really, really big on, I want to make sure that I am focusing on each individual person. So something I told myself every single day was, I want every person who comes into my office to leave here having the best experience that they had. I don't care what that is, whether they sell 30K, whether they sell 2K, whatever. I want to make sure that every person has the best experience, because I knew that I probably wanted to come back to Findlay, and it's my home, so I live there sometimes. So I'm like, I want people to get a good word going around about Vector. So like right now, my territory is like, Vector's awesome. It's like a chance to make a lot of money. You're not working in a warehouse. Like, it's awesome. Everybody knows about it. They're like, oh yeah, my friends work there. Like, there are high schoolers right now who have called me or reached out to like someone who knows me from there and been like, hey, I want to work for Vector. I can work there, right? Next year because I've graduated. Like, that's, and before that, it was not. The manager who was there before me wasn't very ethical, I guess we can say. So that was my big thing. I wanted every person to have an amazing experience. So with that, I made sure to tell them I was going to do whatever, like the best thing for them. And I wanted it to be a fun, hardworking culture. So I wanted them to love the job, but also make sure they were making money. I know, like, I didn't want them to, it was just a super fun job. We got to do all this cool stuff, but I made $200 this summer. So I really focused a lot on work hard, work consistent, and let's have some fun in the meantime. And then also, once we became number 1 in the office, or number 1 in the nation, I think it was like the 2nd or 3rd week of May, I started really promoting that. I'm like, yep, we are the number 1 office, and we are Findlay, Ohio. And I'm like, number 2 is Chicago, number 3, and like listed people. And I'm like, so Findlay is number 1. And my team loved that because Findlay literally, like if you look at a map of Ohio, usually Findlay's not even like one of the main cities that's on there. So they love that. I mean, my team really rallied around that. And I remember there was one week we weren't number one, and I like took that out. I'm like, guys, look at this. And we kind of talked through being consistent and everything. So one big thing was I really promoted. I always say, like, I don't care when you work, how much you work, whatever, as long as everybody's on Rollo every single week. If there's a reason that you're not on Rollo, I at least want to know why. So my big thing was consistency. I wanted every person to be on Rollo, and when I had 60 people on my team, that became a lot of fun. So that was where, I really promoted stay on Rollo, because they're going to stay around. If they're making money, it's the best job ever. Like, their job is to do demos and talk to people and drink lemonade and eat food and cut up some stuff and sell Cutco. Like, it is the best job ever. They just have to continue making money. So if they're not making a sale 1 week or 2 weeks, even your sharp people, maybe they were just busy or they had stuff going on, you want to make sure that they're still making money, because it is a job. So I promoted consistency. How much you sell and how much you make is up to you, but I just expect something to be, to be consistent, or at least tell me why you're not. Right? So I had that freedom for them too. So the culture was, everybody was like, had our team meetings, I'm like, hey, if you made a sale, stand up. Everybody stands up. We're like, all right, let's get competitive here. Like, who was number one? And like, our teams are super competitive, and then you were the number one rep in the number one office. Congratulations. And they loved that. So even if you're not like number one in the nation or whatever, you can be like, we are the number 3 office in the entire division. Just things like that. You can promote anything, right? So really making them feel good about being a top rep. You hit the newsletter. I also had a lot of recognition. A lot of recognition made them want to sell and keep selling. So I know like PRs would come in and they would see I had a huge hot news board. I don't know if you guys know, I didn't buy any whiteboards because they're super expensive. I got shower panel. And those things are like, it was the biggest, it would have been like the biggest whiteboard ever for like $11. So I had one of those huge shower panels full of hot news. Like, everything was on there. And so people would come in and they would run up to that hot news board and be like, did I make the board? Whatever. And I did my best to make everybody like look good, like, someone with a custom set this week, blah, blah. So I promoted a lot. I also had top 3 in the office for the week and top 3 for the campaign up on a board as well. I had our top 10 fast starters up there as well. I did the entire division too, so there were high numbers up there. I also had a diagram on my wall of people. I started, the first one was, let me think. I think the first one was 5K. The next one was 10K, and then 15K, 20K, and 30K. And I figured out how many of each I needed. I don't know if you guys know this. I think it says what the 25th person in your office sells, if you add whatever zeros to the end, that's what your office does. I haven't checked this year. I probably should. But last year, like, my 25th person sold $2,400, and we did like 249,000. So like, it's very accurate, at least for last year. I guess I haven't checked this year. But so my goal was, I wanted to do 500,000. That was my goal. And so I wanted to make sure that I had 25 people hit 5K. So I did that, so on. So I printed out a bunch of like faces with question marks on them and put them below 5K, and then 10K, 20K, 30K. And every time someone hit the level, I had them send me a picture of them, and I printed that off and put that in place of one of the faces with a question mark on. So then when people would be like, I got the 5K, hit the 5K level, and I'm like, when are you gonna jump up? And like, people would have races, like, it was almost like, how fast can you get up and jump up those levels? So that really promoted like sales, promotion, hitting the promotions, hitting certain levels that I wanted them to hit, and then obviously growing. Also, I cut out a huge 500, and I made 2,000 squares on that. So every time because 2,000 orders meant $500,000. So every time somebody turned in an order form, they would color in a square. So it was a lot of like promoting sales, number of sales. Not necessarily, I don't need people to have an average order of 1,000. I don't expect that. I don't want that. I just want a lot of effort. So, every time you turn in an order, you get a color in the square. I don't care if you turn in an ultimate set order or a shears holster, you still get a colored in, you still help our team. So I really promoted number of sales and effort. And then I recognized the crap out of them as much as I could, anything I could do. I just did anything and everything. I would write them letters when they would hit certain like promotions. And even like someone who I expect to sell a lot, I would maybe wait to write them something until 6K. Someone who's been working their butt off and they just hit their first promotion, I write them a letter too. I'm super excited for you. Like, you know, I'm very happy you're part of this team, and I would give them that every team meeting. So a lot of appreciation, and then just a lot of, I guess, promotion on effort and number of sales turned in. So I think those were kind of the main things that I did.
Yeah, it's great. I think everybody got a lot of nuggets out of that one. I got a couple ideas too that we could use in the pilot, so that's fantastic. A couple more quick ones, and then we'll let you go. But you said one of the things that you didn't know how to do at first, but you worked on, was knowing the reports. Which like, you know, 2 or 3 reports would you say that, you know, if I'm a new candidate and I'm getting ready to run a branch office or district office, I'd focus on the most? Which ones were you constantly looking at?
Yep, receptionist statistics is one. Oh, I guess there's 3. Receptionist statistics, the manager statistics, so you can see yourself, you can see your receptionist, and then also, I'm trying to think what the actual one is. What is it, like ad statistics or whatever,
Yeah.
where you can see like how mailers are doing,
Sure.
how your posters are doing, how your off-campus posters are doing, things like that. Whatever. How, like, what's doing the most, I guess. So, like, I could look on there in May and be like, my mailers, okay, I need to get better. My receptionists need to get better at mailers because we have this show on mailers. However, my signs are doing awesome, so I need to get more signs out. Maybe my online stuff is doing fine, whatever. My business cards just kicked off. I did awesome on business cards. I need to make sure to go back and business card again. So those were things I looked at a lot in May for my own benefit, for touches and stats and stuff. But for yourself, manager statistics, and then receptionist stats.
Cool. Right on. A couple last ones here. This summer, just because I have no shame, and I'm going to ask you, how much income did you make as a branch manager this summer, and what was your biggest paycheck?
I profited $42,000 this summer, and my biggest paycheck, before or after charges.
Just say whatever. Just before is okay.
I think it was before charges was like $7,900.
Nice. $8,000. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's positive. How old are you?
I'm 20.
Cool. So that's okay to make that in the summer. My last question for you is, what are you doing this summer, and why?
I actually am undecided right now. I'm going back to school in, I have one more semester, like after the spring. So I am graduating a semester early. So I'm graduating next December, but that still means I have a semester back at school that is 2.5 hours away from my territory. So I haven't decided yet. I'm either going to branch or district. Branching, I guess, would make the most sense since I still have a semester of school to go. But I'm kind of figuring out if I can take some online classes and what days I could get my classes on, and if I could district and go back and forth from Columbus to Findlay.
Yeah. Why do you want?
So I haven't fully decided yet, but
Okay.
one of the two.
Yeah. Cool. Why do you want to be a DM?
It's awesome.
So I guess it's really just the benefits. It's so much fun. I mean, what kind of job gives you all the stuff that Vector gives you? I have no idea. I don't think there is. Actually, no, there's not one. My dad's even talked to me. So my dad, I make fun of this all the time. My dad told me not to go into the interview, not to go into training, stop selling during school. You have to focus on school. And now he's like, when I talk about it, he's like, yeah, you should stay with Vector. Like a company that lets you work when you do and don't want to. A company that puts you on this many vacations. A company that pays you that much. That gives you bonuses, that gives you BMWs, that everything else that Vector does, he's like, that doesn't exist. And he's like, so don't go into corporate world, stay there, plus you're happy. So my dad's been telling me to stay. Also, for my major, I have to have 2 internships. One was Vector, and the other one I went to Brooksource. It's a sales and recruiting company. It's a lot of fun. I sit there and like drink coffee and do their payroll and stuff. It sucks. But I know I always go up to them and I'm like, they asked me to intern again this semester, and I said yes, but I'm like, but I have to have these days off because I'm going to Rome, these days I'm going to Playa, this day I have a conference. We're also going to Canada a day early because the conference is in Detroit, which is like right across from Canada, so we just go to Canada. And then, I'm like, and like last semester, Jeff Bry gave me a contest. It was a recruiting contest when my branch was closed. He told me if I went back to Findlay in like the middle of November, it was. And he said if I go back to Findlay, this was on a Tuesday evening. He said if you can recruit people tomorrow, and then launch 5 people from a training this weekend in Findlay, then you can go to Vegas with us. So I was like, challenge accepted, and I won it. So I got to go to Vegas. So I had to go to my boss, like, because we left a couple days after that. I'm like, hey, Vector's sending me to Vegas now. Can I not come into work next Wednesday and Thursday? And he was just like, Vegas? Like, why? I'm like, there's a contest last second. He's like, I don't understand what your company is. And everyone was like super jealous. I'm like, yeah, we get to go to a free Kiss concert. So we're staying at the Hard Rock Hotel. And they were just like, what is this? Like, what? Are you kidding me? Like, what is Vector? Can I work there? I've had a doctor tell me, she's like, yeah, you should stay with that company. Like, that's awesome. So, I mean, this company just isn't anywhere else. So,
cool.
It's really a no-brainer.
Yeah. All right, cool. Thanks, Lexi. I really appreciate it. Let's give her a big round of applause for helping us out today. You had awesome stuff. Thanks so much for your time. We're really grateful. The whole South Coast Division is grateful. You're fantastic. Excellent job this summer. I look forward to meeting you officially in Rome. So I'll see you in a couple months. Until then, keep kicking butt, okay?
Great. Sounds great. Thank you, guys.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.